Three, two, one, hack. One, two, three. The time on my hack, the time was 14:13. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome wherever you are. Today we are doing an unboxing and video review of the Bangalore Watch Company Silver's Silk Scarf Mach 1. I do apologize, this review is a long time coming. I was sent this watch probably 3 months ago, and I've already sent it on. It was part of a loaner program to take reviews, to take pictures with. I captured all of this footage, and then life got busy, so finally getting around, have a few minutes to record this. They did tell me that the packaging is slightly different, since this is a unit that's being shipped around to a number of different content creators. That being said, we've gotten it out of the package. You can see it has this gorgeous salmon pink kind of copper colored dial. It has a really beautiful turban inspired push pull crown that still gives 100 meters of water resistance, which is fantastic. For a pilot's watch and a leather strap, 100 meters of water resistance is just fine. The movement powering this is a Sellita SW200 TAC 1. So you can see it hand winds quickly, they get the good quick set date, all of those features that you would tend to expect on a high beat sort of workhorse caliber Swiss automatic movement. But as we start to in just a second here turn the watch around, we can first see that the hands all line up perfectly. Turn the watch around, you see in this embossed, stamped, or kind of like frosted case-back design of that silk scarf. It's the name of the watch. So the whole point of this is this watch was made to commemorate an Indian woman by the name of Sarla Tukral, who in 1936, when she was 21 years old, became the first Indian-born woman to receive her pilot's license or flying certificate or whatever it was called back in those days. So that leads us to the question, why the name the silk scarf? And the answer is actually really, really fascinating. It goes to an aviation tradition that goes all the way back to the 19 teens and 1920s. Instructor pilots used to not have cockpit interphone to be able to talk to their students. Everybody wore scarves back in those days because it was cold when you were flying up high. So when a student was ready to go solo, the instructor would symbolically cut their tie, and how much of that tie that was left uncut basically was a signal for how good the instructor thought the student was, because after they'd cut the tie, if they left a lot of the tie remaining, they could still go up and reach and cut it. So the scarf was the initial version of the tradition, and then it kind of got morphed into ties because naval aviators, aspiring naval aviators, used to fly in their khakis and ties, wearing the leather jacket. So the silk scarf became the tie, and that's a tradition that still goes on to this day. I have had my tie cut, and actually in the prop background. Later on in this video, you'll see some shots, and there's a blue tie there, and that's the actual tie that I had cut when my on-wing basically trusted me to go solo, and I had passed my check ride. And that was kind of the commemoration of that. And since then, I have cut a number of other students' ties who I have taught and gotten them through their solo. So next thing that we'll look at, I'm not going to put the graphics on the screen. We'll just go through and talk about the specifications of this watch. Kind of already mentioned, it's a 40 millimeter case size. We'll measure it with the calipers. It has a Sellita SW200 TAC 1 movement in it. This watch is only 10.6 millimeters thick according to my calipers. The website quotes 10.8. The lug to lug is right around 46 to 47 millimeters. My calipers are showing 46.3 right now. Have that good 40 millimeter case size, plus or minus a couple tenths of a millimeter, showing 40.1, 40.2, and then including the crown, it's a relatively diminutive 43.4 if you include the crown. It's a good 6 millimeter crown. You can kind of see that it tapers off and has this interesting turban pattern. It kind of tapers from 7.2 to all the way down to about 6 to 6.3. Um, specs really are kind of just in the heart of what we consider kind of like good wearable design, and of course that's complemented by 20 millimeter lugs. My calipers are showing 19.9, and I've had absolutely zero issues fitting any of my many 20 millimeter straps onto this. So let's just take a little bit of a closer look at design, and then we'll kind of look at some pros and cons. Has a very interesting side profile, not exactly the same that you would see on a traditional Flieger pilot's watch. You also can see that beautiful signed crown. You can see that midline of the case kind of tapers all the way down and then flattens out at the bottom. I just think that that's something that's a little bit unique and not something that you see all the time. You can see that case back that just has all of that history in there that now you kind of know about, and that's probably the coolest part about this watch. You get the screwed-in case back, and then along the sides, the underside all the way up to the top, you have this really nice kind of alternating brushed polished finish. A little bit of a flat top on bezel before it meets the sapphire crystal that has a pretty nice AR treatment on it, and then it just kind of alternates as you work your way down the side. So it gives a lot of visual interest on this watch, and it's finished very nicely, and there's a variety of finishing techniques applied. You have really good, nice polished bevels and sort of like angled corners on that. Watch comes on a really nice leather strap that actually has that good leather feeling, as well as that smell. So you kind of really have that like suppleness that you would expect. Comes on has a signed Bangalore Watch Company buckle and keeper system there. Really happy about that, as well as providing quick release spring bars on their bracelet. I think that's a smart move. Literally every single time a company decides to make that. Right here, just a quick comparison against a couple of other Fliegers. The Bangalore Watch Company is actually kind of the most expensive watch in this group. We have the Ratio Sky Surfer on the right. On the right, that's a NH caliber powered pilot's watch that has a pretty insane set of specifications. Retails at about $150, and then also on the left, I have this compared against the Zelos Eagle, which is a really futuristic take on a pilot's watch. So you can see that the Bangalore is a little bit thinner than the Ratio. You can kind of tell the difference in the case side profiling, and that's kind of what we were looking at earlier. The Ratio has a sort of a more classic Flieger aesthetic there, and the Bangalore takes some more interesting lines, and you can definitely see the alternating brush polished effect. The Zelos here is completely wild. I absolutely love this watch, but from that exhibition caseback with the turbine rotor and the cutaway sides, and that crazy dial, I just think it's a little bit of fun to kind of compare how many different kinds of design you can kind of get even within the classic Flieger aesthetic. I can definitely tell that Ratio and Bangalore both used the same supplier for the pin buckles. But that being said, they're both excellent quality, so I have zero complaints about that. Strap on the Bangalore is really nice. Yeah, just gonna let you all continue to look. The leather is much nicer on the Bangalore. Even though the Ratio leather is great for a $150 watch, it still has a little bit of that cardboardy, plasticky kind of feeling, even though it smells real and feels real. Yeah. So you can kind of see it's titanium on the left, and then you can just kind of tell the difference in how that alternating brushed and polished look changes the way that you can kind of pick up on the reflections and stuff. Next thing that we'll do, we'll hop into a quick wrist check here. My wrist today is the Tudor Black Bay 58. And we'll take that off and get get the Bangalore on the wrist just so you can kind of see how it wears on my 6.75-inch wrist. And then I'll just kind of compare it against the other two. Overall, the Bangalore Watch Company has created this watch. It's on sale in rupees. The last time I checked the exchange rate, it was about 1,000 US dollars. So it's definitely not a cheap watch, but it's an incredibly well-made watch with a Swiss mechanical, Swiss automatic movement. Um, and I think for the level of quality you're getting, that's a perfectly fine asking price. Can you buy something that provides a great deal of this experience for much less? Absolutely, but you also could go up to IWC and buy something that has slightly more of this kind of classic Flieger experience and spend 10 times more. So value in watch collecting is very much to the eye of the beholder. You can see that you have that nice Mach 1 logo on the left-hand side and applied Bangalore Watch Company logo on the right-hand side. You do have lume on the hour hands and just the tiniest lume pips on the outside of each of the numbers. I didn't even include a lume section in this video because the lume on the outside just died out immediately. It was basically visible for a second or two. That being said, as a pilot's watch, lume is not the most important thing in the world. However, I definitely use it in my day-to-day life. So I wish that was a place where they had included just a little bit more. And I know some of their other models have a little bit more. So now we're just kind of swapping around to some comparison shots. We'll take a look at the ratio on my wrist. You can just see it kind of wears a little bit wider, just a little bit thicker. You don't have those alternating surfaces kind of decreasing that visual thickness, and also the NH35 generally creates a thicker case than putting an SW200 into something. The Celos is one of my favorite watches and gets a ton of wrist time, so I just put it on because it's a whole lot of fun. The dial is incredible, and the case construction is unlike anything that you see anywhere else. None of us are made of money, and obviously it's worth having a conversation about what other kind of watches you could get in a similar price point, or for a lower price point, or for a higher price point. I love this piece. It's a little bit less expensive than the Bangalore, but at the end of the day, I'm just so grateful to Bangalore Watch Company for sending this in to me, letting me take a look at it. We'll get to the part of the video now where we just kind of swap it out some straps and see how it looks. The first one is the Haveston canvas in a sea gray color. I think it really kind of offsets that salmon dial really nicely. I think that's one of the best things about this piece. That dial can kind of alternate between being a salmon color, being a pink color, almost a copper color. It really catches the light. It's very striking. It doesn't come across as too effeminate. I rocked this for almost 2 weeks, wearing it at least for some portion of just about every single day. I wore it on the leather that it came on. I wore it on this strap. Just for fun, I'm putting it on the Zelos FKM rubber Flieger strap that came off of the Eagle. I really like the way that stitching kind of accents it, and I think having that rubber strap just gives you a little bit more sporty upside. And then finally we're going to swap out to another combination that maybe I wouldn't have thought of until I just kind of color swatched them together and tried it on. One of my favorite straps, it's the Artem loopless sailcloth strap on a deployant clasp. Absolutely phenomenal. I think that navy blue works really well to kind of contrast that. And I definitely wore this combination several times, and I think it really works. But at the end of the day, pros, it's a great story. It's great design, and the price isn't too terrible. If I had to if I had to put some goods, yeah, it's the design, it's that dial, it's that story. We get to the point where we're talking about some others. Really, at this price point, just north of $1,000, I would rather see a movement like the LJPG 100 with like 70 hours of power reserve that's in the Zelos Eagle for less money than just putting another Sellita SW200. The SW200 has some issues with hand winding where some gear teeth can fail, so it's just kind of worth thinking about. SW200 is a super reliable movement, kind of as long as you know that there are some potential issues with it. I wish that they'd gone and just done a little bit more to give us that color match date wheel. I get that the date wheel is color matched to the color of the indexes, but I would have rathered seen uh, sort of that salmon colored date wheel with the black font, just to give it a little bit more cohesiveness in design. That being said, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to Bangalore Watch Company for sending uh, this in for me to take a look at. I've since sent it on. Didn't receive anything in compensation for them, so once again, there's no promotional flag on today's video. But please like, subscribe, and tell me your thoughts in the comments section. I would love to hear them. Until then, see you next time.